The twist. With a deep sigh, Beth reclined in her chair. Michael, her spouse, laughed while driving. Relax, it's just one retreat, he said. A company retreat, she yelled. You know everyone, it's fun for you. For me it's a lost série. Let us simply commence with the game and conclude by 5, Michael stated, glancing at his youthful spouse. You know I couldn't make an excuse for you this year. Beth knew that to be accurate. Annually, the CEO of Michael's company extends an invitation to all for a full day of hide and seek in an opulent old hotel that he rents out. It was originally intended to be a team-building activity for the sales department, but after a few years he began hosting an after-party following the game. Spouses began to show up, and now, a few decades later, it had become an annual event that all employees were expected to attend. Since he was employed a few years earlier, Michael had been attending to the retreat, and he always came up with a reason to keep Beth from showing up. However, Michael was under pressure since his boss Roger would yearly inquire as to when Beth would arrive. Roger would always tell Beth, I expect to see you at hide and seek soon, pretty lady, which bothered her, especially when he would give her a greasy grin shortly after. This happened even when Beth attended the workplace holiday parties or summer outings. He felt he was quite nice, but he just looked like a huge pervert with his balding head and pudge. Michael responded, we'll just hang out with people we know. Beth slapped Michael's shoulder and said, Donnie and Sheila will be there, and Brad, who you like so much. Michael smiled. Michael would constantly bring up the fact that Brad was the hottest person in his company when Beth got a touch tipsy at a holiday party and started talking to people. In the years since they started working together, Donnie and his fiancée, Sheila, as well as Michael and Beth, became close friends. Donnie was Michael's office roommate and his sole really close friend at the company. They even went on a couple travels together in addition to attending football games at each other's houses. About once a month, Beth and Sheila would even go shopping together. Beth reasoned that seeing them would be the only positive aspect of the trip, and she would most likely spend the entire time chatting with them. Beth was amazed when Michael's automobile eventually arrived at the motel. Reminiscent of an estate from The Great Gatsby, the complex had 2 enormous wings surrounded by smaller cabins and swimming pools. Since they were running a bit behind schedule, nearly everyone was in the main room when they parked the car and went through the massive front doors of the hotel. The employees and their spouses or significant others made up a sizable portion of the crowd. With only a lovely long-sleeve shirt and yoga skirt leggings, Beth was concerned that she had underdressed, but nearly everyone else appeared to be wearing casual or athletic attire. Michael pointed into the crowd and exclaimed, Oh hey, look, your knight in shining armor is here. Looking, Beth noticed Brad out in the distance. Huh, she exclaimed. He was still the most attractive man in the room, with a big chest and $1 million smile, even though she had to concede she was right. When he noticed them, he waved. Beth and Michael waved back. Beth waited while Michael went to grab them drinks because everyone was mingling and enjoying the open bar. She scanned her surroundings to see if she recognized anyone. She saw Catherine at the bar, Travis engaging in conversation with a few individuals, and a girl she vaguely recognized but was unable to identify. Beth said, Hey, look who made it. She pivoted and observed Roger approaching her, sporting a sly smile. He winked and scanned her physique before exclaiming, You are looking very nice, Beth, very nice. Beth's arms naturally crossed over her chest. She had worked out enough to keep herself taut and perky, and she'd been whistled enough in her life to know that she had a good physique, but she did it for Michael, not for scumbags like Roger to stare at. She felt bad about dressing in leggings. She murmured, Hi Roger, Michael will be here any minute. Roger paid her no attention. I'm glad you came. This is a great game. We get to run around this gorgeous hotel. Here's a tip, the beds are a great place to hide, he said, giving her another wink before disappearing to mingle with other guests. Soon after, Michael came to her side, and together they made their way to Donnie and Sheila, who were huddled in the corner. Beth was relieved to see Sheila, who was lively and charming, and Donnie, who was silly but nice. They talked about recent TV episodes they had watched as a group of 4. A half hour later, someone blew an air horn, and everyone fell silent. Beth noticed the CEO standing at the top of the stairs when she turned to face the air trumpet. He greeted everyone and explained the rules. It was a game of hide and seek in which everyone would hide but one person would search for the hiders. Once a hider was tagged, the seeker took over and had to find a new target. Unless the door was locked, the entire compound was open for hiding. Every time the air horn sounded, the hiders had to move from their hiding spot to a new location that was at least 20 feet away in order to keep the group moving. The CEO went on to say that this year, after being tagged, the seeker would need to carry a GPS device and input their identity into it. That year's Christmas bonus would not be awarded to the seeker who stayed the longest. This was done to ensure that no one would just hang out and zone out like in previous years, and to push the seeker to look aggressively. The new rule caused a murmur among the throng. Donnie responded, That's a bad idea, people need those bonuses. I don't think he's going to go through with it, he just wants to keep the game moving, Michael stated. He looked across at Beth. I guess we have to make sure we don't get caught, he continued. Beth swallowed and nodded. She never was excellent at games and she didn't seem happy that she was the reason Michael didn't get his bonus back. Charlie, an accountant, will be the first seeker, the CEO declared, and everyone would have 2 minutes to hide upon his signal. He continued by saying that workers and their partners had to start the game in separate wings, as usual. Michael heard Beth say in a whisper, "I didn't know that." "It's all right," Michael replied. "Have fun and I'll find you soon." Inside, Beth sighed. It seems like she would just need to hide in a room until Michael discovered her. Then the CEO blew the air horn while holding it up. With a kiss, Michael hurried to the left, into the west wing. Beth watched him bolt, then took the right path with the fleeing workers. As Beth raced along the main corridor, she noticed that everyone had obviously played this game before, since she saw people ducking into rooms and hiding. She scrambled inside the first door she could and ran out of fear. She surveyed her surroundings. With a bed she could hide beneath and a closet she could hide in, the space appeared to be a guest bedroom. She hurried to the closet and wrenched the door open, thinking quickly, but Brad was inside. Beth gave a high-pitched yip, almost yelling in horror, but she caught herself. Grabbing her wrist, Brad screamed, "SHHH," and dragged her into the closet. Brad pushed against the far wall of the closet, which was large but shallow, and Beth retreated against him. This was the greatest method for them to hide from anyone looking in, with all the hanging clothing between them and the door. Looking back, Beth said, "I didn't mean to bust into your hiding spot." Brad murmured back, "I'm just glad it's you." Beth smiled. She said, "Same here." She didn't mind a little flirtation with Brad since, let's face it, he was the most attractive guy in the company. She could smell his woodsy scent, which she adored, as she stood with her back to his chest. The bedroom door creaked open, drawing their attention. Charlie's voice then arose, asking, "Hello, anyone hiding?" Beth choked back a laugh. Brad drew her close to him, encircling her waist with his arms. Beth felt a slight thrill at this. His arms were thick and powerful. Though it wasn't really suitable, Beth let his hands to remain on her waist, assuming he was simply attempting to keep her quiet. She even slightly repressed her breathing to make her stomach even more constricted. Abruptly, though, his hands began to snake up her torso. Before Beth knew what was going on, Brad grabbed her roughly. Charlie abruptly stuck his head into the closet. He was so close, Beth was sure they'd been caught, but then she noticed that Brad and Beth were still out of sight at the angle Charlie's head was turned. Even so, Beth was able to glimpse Charlie's face as he looked around. Beth believed that Brad will stop now, lest the movement give Charlie away. Beth stood in the room for a minute, terrified. What had just taken place? Someone had attacked her. Was she? Does she need to visit HR? Would HR even assist her in doing that, as she had no idea how to do it? She did not work there. And would Michael be in trouble if she left? Beth was brought back to the present moment by the sound of people rushing about outside. To gather her thoughts and decide what to do about Brad, she needed to get to a safe, private place. She saw other individuals running into and out of rooms as she fled the room and descended the stairs once more. She decided that she had to go farther, so she sprinted through the corridor and out onto the hotel grounds when she spotted an exit door at the end. She continued walking till she came to a pool home. She walked inside and closed the door, thinking to herself, surely nobody goes in here. However, Beth noticed Catherine and Travis when she turned to face the room. With their legs encircling one another, the two were comfortably relaxing on the sofa. There was a noticeable cannabis odor and Travis was puffing on a joint. "Whoa, I thought we had the door locked," exclaimed Catherine. Travis she'd been introduced to a couple of times. He was a cute guy from sales, but Beth always got the vibe from him that he was too full of himself to talk to anyone he didn't know. Beth had seen Catherine at other company events and heard about her from Michael, who spoke about her as the head of the cool girl clique at work. She always looked like it, too, with long dark hair and a slim figure, and very fashionable and snooty in a way that made Beth afraid to talk to her. "Sorry, should I leave now?" Beth said, feeling uncomfortable right away because even though she knew Travis and Catherine both had significant others, the two of them appeared ready to rip each other's clothes off. "Oh no, feel free to remain." "Please," said Travis. "Don't you think that would be nice?" Catherine turned to Beth and said, "Yeah, but just lock the door. Let's not make this a party," after laughing at Travis. After locking the door, Beth moved to a chair close by. "So, you're Michael's spouse. That's your first time playing Seek," Catherine said. "Yeah," Beth stumbled uneasily. "Have you had any fun yet?" "You look like you've been having fun," jipped Travis. Beth flushed a deep crimson, not knowing if it was clear that she was flushed or if her clothing were still all messed up from Brad. "It's all right," Catherine said, "since everyone uses this game as an opportunity to have fun with their companions. Actually, I'm shocked you came. I assumed Michael was more reserved than that." This was a bombshell for Beth. It made sense why Brad had been acting so combative. He saw her flirtation to be permission to act recklessly. Did Michael actually know that she was supposed to play around? Did he actually want that? Was he playing around? I didn't know you guys were together," Beth murmured, trying not to cry as she struggled to get past the thoughts. "We're not," Catherine responded. "We just got tired of the game a few years ago, so now we just sneak over here the whole time and hang out. In fact, I don't think I see Catherine at the office the rest of the year," Travis added. "Well, we're on different floors now, so this is our annual get-together," Catherine told Beth. "With whom have you spent the day?" Brad, kind of. Beth let it slide, not knowing why she was being so honest. Perhaps it was the marijuana in the air, or perhaps it just seemed like they were telling it to her straight. Well done, Brad, Catherine remarked. He's got a big one. Hey, how do you know that? A very upset Travis asked. Catherine remarked, oh, shush, I don't always rush here every year. Travis turned to Catherine and remarked, I've got a big one, too, you know, before grinning at Beth. Catherine looked up at Beth. She added, cheerfully but firmly, okay, now it's my turn, and I'm not about to get in front of another woman, so you gotta go. Oh, I see, muttered Beth. Thanks, she said, not knowing what she was expressing gratitude for. As Beth staggered away, Catherine exclaimed, see you next year. For the next few minutes, Beth walked about the grounds, attempting to work out precisely what she had gotten herself into. Did Catherine and Travis have a point when they said that Michael had brought Beth here just to play about with the staff at his business? Had he been coming here to do it during his marriage to her for the previous few years? She concluded that it had to be true the more she considered it. Michael wasn't a moron, and if everyone was acting in this way as Catherine and Travis had claimed, then he was undoubtedly involved as well. It implied that he either didn't care or that he wanted her to do it. Regardless, Beth became enraged and envious because he had to be doing it too. At these gatherings, with whom was he hooking up? Dana from the accounting department. That attractive girl from management, whose name she couldn't recall. In either case, Beth's arousal had not been greatly reduced by that earlier time. She was desperate to get off again since she was still so turned on from being grabbed and exposed. Returning to the closet where she and Brad had been, she set off. Perhaps he was lurking there once more, and they might play about a little longer. Beth heard some surprised shouts as she made her way back into the main hotel and avoided them. Returning upstairs on tiptoe, she entered the room where she and Brad had been. She heard the sound of someone shutting the closet door. Brad, she considered. Beth crept up and opened the wardrobe. To her surprise, Dana was on her knees and Brad was there as well. With a surprise, Beth looked up and briefly met Brad's gaze. He smiled at her, weakly, guilty looking. With haste, Beth closed the closet door and bolted from the room. She hurried down the steps, tears welling up in her eyes. She knew it was foolish, but for some reason, she believed Brad was making a commitment to her for the game. However, it dawned on her that he was only aimlessly making out with whatever woman he came across. Being so hot, of course he was, Beth thought cruelly. He most likely had affairs with each of the company's wives and girlfriends. Beth heard squeals coming from down the hall as she was walking and realized she needed to hide. She began searching for a place to hide in when she heard someone say, Donnie was waving her over as he peeked out of a room down the corridor. Donnie shut the door behind Beth as she dashed into the space. The bathroom was spacious, featuring a bathtub and shower as well as a wardrobe. While Donnie locked the restroom door, Beth observed him. He apologized, saying, I know we're not supposed to lock doors, but I figure since it's a bathroom, no one's going to think there's people hiding. Biting her lip gently, Beth turned to face Donnie. Perhaps it was because of her pre-existing desire, or perhaps it was because she was still upset with Brad for leaving her, or perhaps it was because she wanted to get revenge on Michael, but at that precise moment, all she wanted was to give Donnie the time of his life. Beth must have seen Donnie staring at him. He said, Hey, are you okay? Beth gasped, Donnie, are you and Sheila also having fun today? Donnie stumbled. Oh, no, Beth, I didn't call you over for that. You and Michael are such good friends, I'd never try to make a move on you like that. But before he could say anything more, Beth approached him and dropped on her knees. Beth thought, I hope you're enjoying yourself, Michael, because from now on, every day at work, Beth feels both pleasure and pain with every one of them. She realized that, prior to today, she had shown her body to approximately 6 males in her life, Michael, a few boys she had flashed at a party while intoxicated, and a few boyfriends from high school and college. She had her top off 3 times as of right now in the day. If things continued this way, Michael's whole business would have seen her body by the end of the day. Another minute went by, and Beth could feel Donnie bucking a little. Beth raised her gaze to meet his. They hear the door being pounded. A woman's voice yelled, Hey, the bathroom isn't supposed to be locked. Open up, Donnie said, Crap. Beth nervously glanced around. If they were apprehended together, everyone would be aware of what had transpired. She peeked into the tub. Could she shut the curtain and hide inside? She turned to face Donnie again, and he appeared to comprehend her thoughts. He said, Go hide, I'll go outside. Beth gave a nod. Donnie said, That was amazing, and she clambered into the tub. Beth heard Donnie open the door from within the tub. I apologize, he said. The woman responded, You should be, and Beth heard the door close. The woman remarked, What a jerk, who is that? For a brief while, Beth believed she was speaking with her, but another lady interrupted her, saying, No idea, some guy from sales. Beth refrained from breathing. I wish these girls would just apply some new cosmetics and go. She heard what they were saying. One of them said to the other, You fooling around. Yeah, me and Nick always do, and Russell felt me up a bit. You, nothing so far. I thought I saw you with Michael. He's cute. Yes, he is not one to play around with these things. Claims that it wouldn't be just to his spouse. Whoa, that one devoted dude. They carried on talking, but as that final bit registered, Beth's words vanished. Had Michael been obedient? He was surrounded by attractive young women in his company, yet he never made out. However, that implied. When Beth understood what she had done, she attempted to hold back her emotions. Brad had sensed her discomfort. Yes. The voices vanished as the door opened. It was her alone in the restroom once more. She had to find Michael, she concluded, or maybe just keep her mouth shut and hope that Brad, Donnie, Travis, and Catherine could all keep theirs quiet too while they played this silly game. Listening for footsteps, Beth darted out into the corridor and crept along the lengthy path. Although there was a part of her that wanted to give up, she was at this moment only interested in seeing Michael. She pushed open a door to reveal a spacious guest bedroom with a massive bed raised on tall pillars. Beth knelt and lifted the skirt that covered the area under the bed. She would probably have enough room to lie down comfortably and watch the rest of the game after squeezing under a sideboard. And nobody would be able to see her because of the sideboard. Beth wriggled beneath the sideboard, squeezing as flat as she could. Regretfully, she misjudged the height of the bed, and upon rolling over, she discovered that she was wedged between the floor and the bed's bottom. The scent of Roger's cologne hit Beth hard at that precise time. She felt Roger's arms envelop her in a second. Yes, I was aware that you desired it. Michael's voice was then heard by Beth. Beth. Oh great, Beth thought to herself. She had spent the entire day searching for Michael, and now that he was the one seeking her, she was in the worst possible situation. She couldn't just crawl out from under the bed and bring Roger with her, forcing him to explain why they were there, and she needed to remain completely silent. Beth, it's Michael, he said. If you're here, come on out, hon. I'll wait until Michael is gone, Beth thought, and then I'll jump out and Roger and I will never speak of this ever again. Beth remained silent, and Roger must have realized that she wasn't going to reveal herself, because he slowly pulled his hand out from her pants. Thank God, Beth thought. Behind her, she heard a soft zip, but she didn't pay attention to it. For a short while, the two kept silent as they attempted to cool off after their recent exchange. That was incredible, Beth, exclaimed Roger. You were the best I've had today, maybe ever. Roger stood up at that point and broke into a grin. She remained still, so tired that she had to force herself not to nod off. I apologize for entering you. Are you taking the medication? I replied, and she nodded sheepishly. The game has been over for a while, she said, seeing Roger dress himself and lay her things on the bed. To make things look normal, I'll head downstairs first, and you can wash up and join me later. See you next year, he said, grinning as he left through the door. After a few minutes of resting and trying not to feel like the worst woman alive, Beth got up, got dressed, showered in the bathroom, and left. Beth kept her eyes down as she made her way through the party, attempting to find Michael. What was she going to say to him? Would he ever forgive her if she confessed? And how was she going to avoid returning next year? When she came downstairs, the entire company was in the main room for the after party. She heard someone grasp her hand as she made her way through the throng and said, "Honey, look who it is." Michael drew her to him and murmured, "I was searching for you." She looked up and saw that Brad and Donnie had turned crimson faces at her, while Roger had only winked. Michael, her sweet, devoted husband, had drawn her into a circle with them. Michael smiled down at her. How was the game? He inquired. My comment, a marriage like this would be sad. It would certainly be over if he ever found out. The problem with the mistakes, naive or stupid, is that you have to get past them to learn from them. Imagine the embarrassment that you trusted such a wife, or the cynicism coming out of learning her behavior. That's why people divorce. Self-respect. The price of the learning it high indeed.